Hey everybody, welcome to Banished Brethren, Prologue 2.5, the Prologue episode that does not ever end, which is kind of the point of a game.
Was this supposed to be, just wondering, was this supposed to be one prologue?
Prologue 2 was supposed to have maybe 2 parts.
I thought I'm guilty. We've made this thing going for like 2 months.
Well, a 3-week hiatus didn't help, but yeah, something that's supposed to take 2 weeks is now looking at 5 weeks, and I wouldn't be surprised if it just becomes its own campaign, just, session 2 of the prologue. Here ya goes, have 8 sessions of level 3.
What level are we? Yeah, we're 3. Okay, cool.
Awesome. So, hi everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Without further ado, let's figure out how these guys die horribly. You wake up in the servants' quarters where you finally found an evening's rest. You are in the servants' quarters on the side building of the Ironhammer estate. This large, beautiful, ornate mansion deep inside a mountain cave on the side of the mountain that you'll come to know as Mulduran. You wake up and Crayon and Killif are sleeping rather noisily on 2 of the cots. The servants didn't seem to come in here. There's 8 beds, and it doesn't appear that anyone's disturbed you since the last time you were brought food before you slept. You see some candlelight coming in underneath the door to the central living room kitchen space that's shared between the servants that you came through. What do you do?
I think he's gonna kind of, look around the room first. Kind of there's like 8 bedrooms here. Is there any like paintings on the walls? Like, what does it look like? It's a long
thin room, and there's 8 single beds. They're a little on the small side for Crayon and Galadin. You would have sat like sitting up or kneeling or something like that. Crayon, you can see, is kind of curled in. His knees are tucked up because if he laid out straight, his ankles would be off the end of the dwarf-sized bed.
So is the entire house kind of like that, where it's built with a dwarf in mind?
The architecture is grand, so you can tell that it's it fits you comfortably, but the furniture and everything that's involved in the place is smaller than it would be comfortable. It's built for a dwarf in mind. But the grandeur of the architecture makes it more livable. Like, you're not banging your head on doorways or anything like that.
Oh, that's good. So I think what he'll probably do is he'll kind of get up as quietly as he can. He doesn't want to wake Killif. And then kind of head towards the door. Just open the door and start looking around the house, seeing if anyone's around. Maybe heading into the kitchen, seeing if there's food.
Awesome. So yeah, you can open up the small door to the living room atrium area. You find, as soon as you open the door, there's 2 couches and a large chair and a set of tables, and there is 7 different dwarves of medium and well-averaged age groups, just lounging around, and all but 2 are sleeping. They're couple sleeping on the couch, 1 sleeping in a chair, 1 sitting at the floor. It becomes pretty aware right away that these are probably the people that would be sleeping in the area where you've now taken over.
So we've taken their quarters, effectively.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so these are the servants, then.
Yes.
Do dwarves have a particular way of greeting each other?
Not that you're particularly aware of. They don't have a particular cultural way other than, in Dwarven, hi, that kind of thing.
Yeah, so if they're all sleeping, he'll just kind of be quiet.
There is 1 gentleman awake. He's the man who met you when you first came to the front gates of the estate with Ironhammer, who you now know his first name is Gerthon.
Gerthon.
Yeah. The man the elderly dwarf who met you with him, he is now sitting. There's a large icebox. And he's sitting with his chair up against that, and he's fiddling with something in his hands. He looks up at you, and he stands up at attention.
No bother. I'm just looking around.
He bows low and looks at you and goes, And he stops for a moment and he continues in Dwarven because he realized before that you paid attention when he spoke in Dwarven. He goes, "Is there anything I could do for you, sir?"
No, I think I'm just going to go outside. I think it's very early, but hopefully I can catch the sunrise. This mountain is rather impressive.
He looks at you and he goes, "Sir, if you wish to go, there's a small space beside the servants' quarters that I could take you and escort you for your walk, but it's..." And he thinks over for a moment. He goes, "But Mr. Saracen said that you weren't to be leaving the servants' areas. It would be complicated."
I don't think it'll be any bother if I just simply slip out for but 10 or 15 minutes.
He looks at you and goes, "Sure, okay." And then he goes over and he nudges a younger dwarf who's sleeping with his head on the dining table. And shakes him awake and tells him in Dwarven, "Take Master." And he looks up and he goes, "Master, well, I did not catch nomenclature for yourself."
Galadin. Galadin is my name.
Take Master Galadin to the lower watch. And he kind of shakes himself up, bleary-eyed, rubs his eyes, and goes, yeah, sure." And he gets up. He's a younger, more spry dwarf. And he says, "Yeah, come on. And he walks up. He takes him a couple steps to be starting walking, and he opens up a side door, and it opens up into a small garden, and you can see a path going down to the stone wall of the interior of the cave you're in, where a few of the light shafts are coming in. As you're walking out through the garden, you can see that there's a few large doorways, large arches in the side of the cave that you're in that appear to go out towards where the natural sunlight is coming in.
Yeah, so he'll kind of follow them along.
All right. After 2 minutes walk, you walk through a large, steep, sweeping tunnel, and you come up to a large patio, and there's huge stone creations that swing all over the end of this cliff face, and you look out over the early dawn of a Molderon sunrise.
Yeah, so he'll probably just sit there cross-legged and just, kind of stay there until prompted, or otherwise when he thinks the others are going to get up. If people start asking, he'll wander back in, but, the idea of being cramped sort of underground that tight, the guy's used to air and light and woods and all that.
Yeah.
That's not how the dwarves are.
So yeah, you can from here you can see you're around the east side of the mountain, further towards the southern end. When you actually came in, you were coming in from the north, and you flew all the way around and landed on the northern face. But you appear to have gone through, when you walked all night long through the internal alleys and back streets. You've popped out on the other side of the mountain now, and you're quite high up. You recognize the elevation pretty similar to where the elevation of the mountain that you grew up on. So, Killian, you wake up next. Killif is snorting and having a fearsome dream as he's curled up in this small bed that seems to suit him so well.
Quick question.
Yeah.
It's a long rest, right?
Yeah, it's a long rest.
Does that mean we get our hit dice back?
You can spend the remainder of the hit dice you didn't spend for short rest during the day. Cool. And then you can spend half your hit dice without spending them for that day.
Okay, good to know.
Yeah. Basically, that's one of the house rules we have in the Roll20 forum. It slows down healing. It makes it so fighting is more severe, because if you get later on when you have 80, 100 hit points kind of thing, you can get so fucked up that you just can't heal back for a day or two.
Yeah. No, that's cool. So he wakes up quite rested, feeling great again.
Yeah.
And he's going to kind of look up, and he's going to look around for anybody else in the area.
Just in the long, low room, there's a door at the front you came through, and there is like a firelight, like a bright firelight coming in through, and you smell some biscuits and sausages. And along the room, there's just a long, cotted room. The third cot down on the right, Killif is sleeping, and there's chests and wardrobes next to each cot. It's quite clear now looking around here. There's some light coming in through the semi-opaque windows. It's that dark golden light that was artificially hanging over the garden.
Sure.
But yeah, other than that, there's nothing else particularly interesting in here.
I'm going to walk towards the smell of biscuits and sausage.
Awesome. You can open the door up, and inside, you swing open, and you see inside there's 3 dwarves, one dwarven woman, rather mousy looking, a little on the older age, and two young male dwarves. One of them is fixing some food, and the 2 others are polishing a set of cutlery. And they both get up very much quickly and being like, "Oh, master, then what can we do for you?"
And he's going to say, "Oh, I'm nobody's master." And he's going to kind of like chuckle, and he's going to like pull out his harmonica and was like, "I just woke up and figured I'd get some company. Like, don't let me bother you guys." And he's just going to kind of start playing like a really slow tune as they continue working.
Yeah. The older woman looks over to you and says, Master Garathan sent word. You're Crayon, correct?"
"I am," and he's gonna say, "Yes, I'm Crayon," and he's gonna say, "I assure you, anything they've said is a lie." And he's gonna wink and say, "What are all of your names?"
She looks and goes, "I am Tilda, and this over here, this is Sam and Patrick."
And he's going to say, "Is there anything I can help out with, or you guys got it pretty under control?"
And he goes, "No, please take a seat, and I'll fix you some food."
"Oh, that would be great, thank you." And he's going to, like I said, he's going to kind of sit down and like lean on the table with his elbows and like kind of play just a slow tune on his harmonica.
Awesome. Killif, you wake up to the harmonica playing along and the smell of biscuits and sausage. Killian, you're quickly brought over some biscuits and sausage.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'll kind of stretch and scratch myself and then reach out to pet Maxwell, which just hits empty air. And then I remember, and I plop my feet down on the floor and kind of just pull a small little cloak thing over myself and shuffle my feet towards the smell of food.
Awesome. You come out and you see an elderly dwarf woman sitting across from Killian having a meal. And coming through the door is a few other dwarfs dressed in servant's garb. And they're coming in. They all kind of give you like a very stout, very quick look and just give you like a small nod. And the oldest of them you recognize as the man who brought you in through the gates with Gerthon. And he looks up and goes, "Emerald son, eat with us."
Oh yeah, no, yeah, that's what I was planning on doing. Does he recognize any of these people right off the bat, or?
Just the elderly gentleman who met you at the gates when you came through with Captain Ironhammer.
Okay. And for some reason, when he woke up this morning, it felt like that all happened almost a month ago. So he doesn't exactly remember that guy's name.
It did happen only a week ago.
Did it?
Yeah. You're just not remembering.
Killif
Killif has a little bit of
like,
Killif did recently pass out from lack of oxygen. Asphyxia isn't very good for the brain cells. It's going to take him a few days to calm down.
I forgot about that episode.
It's probably going to take him a few days to get his senses fully back.
Yeah, no, that was a weird episode. Yeah, no, I completely forgot. The Crayon was being a dick about things, not helping.
So, Killian, those who are gathered around you, you notice that they're more comfortable with you than you'd expect them to be. But a couple of them do kind of stop every once in a while. It's pretty clear to pick up, and Kill, if you can pick this up while you start eating, that this arrangement is very unusual. To have people in the servants' quarters that are guests of the family is peculiar, to say the least. And they're very uncomfortable by this. Yeah. Galadin, this would be about time for you to come back. This would be the time like when your friends would be getting up.
Yeah, so he's ignoring that message for the most part, but would it be standard for sort of a noble of this kind of house to have separate guest quarters for actual visitors?
Yes.
But we're being kept. So there's one of two reasons for that. Either we're not welcome, there's problems ahead, or he's not really happy with us. One of those three. So
I mean, I'm guessing he's probably he doesn't know how because he's not the patriarch of this family. So I think he doesn't know how his dad is going to react to us. So he's kind of hiding us away until he does know.
Yeah, and if we use the proper quarters, everyone in the city or everyone in the entire house is going to know immediately.
Exactly.
Or we're a birthday surprise.
They're going to bake you in a cake.
I like to imagine that's exactly what Keyleth thinks is going on. Like, obviously, we're here to surprise the nobles.
But I mean, there's that... Go on.
Listen, in Keyleth's mind, if we haven't been announced and Keyleth has been told that, they're keeping us in this weird spot to kind of keep it on the DL, his first thought is, oh, I get it. We're here to be the special reveal.
Awesome. So, Galadin, you can come back in through, and you come through and you see that all of the servants are gathered and having breakfast, and Cleon and Killif are sitting at the long table with them. The table sits 8, and there's more than 8 there, so a couple of them have just pulled up chairs.
Yeah, he'll kind of smile at Kalian, kind of take a chair and pull it up next to him and just sit there and kind of grab a plate of food.
And when he does, Kalian will look at him and say, sausage is actually better than at home. I don't know how.
I can believe it. It's dwarves. When it comes to meat, I think them the better of us two when it comes to preparing it.
Yeah, and Kalian, he'll
you
notice
guys are
Kalian
speaking in common, right?
That would probably that would have been common.
Yeah,
for me anyway.
The oldest of the dwarves, the one you met at the door when you came in, he responds in quite clean common. With yes, we do have some great sausage makers down in the lower quarter. These myself I get from my son-in-law.
Oh, is he a hunter or?
Oh no, he works with the butchers down in the lower quarter.
Oh, so he's just a sausage worker.
Yes, it's very good work. I'm very proud of the position he's found. It's not often someone, and he looks around, and a lot of the other people get kind of a really annoyed look on their face, oh no, he's at it again. And the old guy goes it's not often one of us is able to join the trades of such a illustrious working class.
It's nice to know that you can enjoy your son-in-law's sausage.
And when he says
smiles
that,
and says yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he'll kind of look at him and go, if you do not mind, we are still new here, and I would converse with my companions in Elvish.
He looks at you and he goes, oh, no matter. And you notice most of the people are getting pretty close to finishing their food. It's just Galadin, you and the young man who came with you that are still eating. The older man goes up and claps his hands. He's like, guys, in Dwarven, he basically gives everyone like daily chores, different people to go do different things. And then he grabs one of the youngest men. It's Patrick. He goes, tell the lady that the guests are ready and awake. And then he goes over and sits at one of the large, comfy chairs, and basically pulls out a big pipe and just kind of sits back. He's very elderly. If he was like human ages, he'd be like late 70s. He's still quite fit and spry, but
Okay.
So, what do you say to your team, your buddies?
He'll just kind of like sort of start with a little bit of small talk. Mention that he noticed the harmonica.
Oh, thank you. I like to wake up and play a little bit. It's something. It's just something to do to keep my mind off stuff. Keep busy.
Yeah. We do find ourselves in interesting circumstances. I will not tell you how you should conduct yourself, but I will just remind you that you do represent our people for your stay here.
Kaylin's gonna wink at him and say, "Trust me, I'm used to hanging out in servants' quarters and grin just a little bit, like not in a shitty way at all, just kind of like, yeah, no, I got you."
Besides, name one time that we've acted improperly.
And Kaylin is gonna look at you when you say that. He's gonna really. You tried to. I'm pretty sure you tried to destroy the mountain last week.
Okay, that wasn't improper. I'm pretty sure we were supposed to do that.
I would not wake up today and criticize you for what you have done. I would just ask that.
He can't think of one.
It's a good outlook. Fresh slate, always moving forward. I like it.
And of course, you do have some spending money, if I recall.
We do, if they'll let us leave this place.
So you guys continue. You finish your meal. The elderly dwarf with the pipe sits and sips away at it. After a while, he opens up a tome and starts doing some figures. It's a rather quaint, comfortable area. It's well lived in. And the farthest door that in the evening Saracen stepped through and a few of the servants went through, it appears to enter into the main building. It swings open, and quickly the elderly dwarf stands up and goes, "Lady, my lady," and steps forward and beckons in. And you see Saracen, Captain Ironhammer's sister, walk in. As described here before, she's extremely beautiful for a dwarf. Very well built, very well curved, very well stood, and quite young. She appears to be, if we were to use human ages, mid-20s. And she steps in and very secretively closes the door behind her and steps across the room to you guys.
At this, Kaylin will kind of like stand, because he was sitting from where he was eating, I'm assuming, just because, he's had enough nobles walk into a room that he knows how to not get whipped.
So she looks at you and goes, can you gentlemen get ready? Garathan has been speaking with Father, and we need to present you.
Yeah.
Present us? Oh, okay. What are we coming in? Like, we just coming in a regular door, or how is this part working? Like, what do we need to know for the presentation?
She looks and goes, "Oh, he's in the clan hall. It's just Morak and Garathan and Father. I think Mother will be there soon."
Okay. Kalian, when this happens, you guys can keep interacting with her. He's going to, the first thing he's going to say is, yeah, I have just a room that I can, nice up.
Yeah, the elderly dwarf bows, and he's quickly, yes, this way. And he doesn't say quickly. He quickly, and then says, come this way. And he leads you to, like, a large, like, wash closet. It's right off the front main room. There's bathrooms, there's washrooms at the back of it, and, like, wash closet in the front of it. You're shown into the wash closet. Mm-hmm. You're shown around. There's actually beautiful plumbing. There's long, wide tile, stone wrought area. There's like metal pipes running around the ceiling with huge wash faucets off and hot water, and you're left to clean up. Okay.
So what he's gonna do is he's gonna kind of like get a washcloth or something, and he's gonna start trying to scrub down his leather and try to make it look as nice and presentable as possible. Same with his hair, kind of pull his hair back into like a half ponytail. Essentially wash his hair a bit, try to look at least relatively presentable. And then he will specifically, actually he can't, never mind. I was going to say he would pull his blade out of the mark, because that's the way he makes it look like it comes out of the mark, but he's specifically not supposed to do that. That would cause an incident. So
awesome. So Killian goes into the wash closet. It's a large one. There's like showers for all the servants to share. Saracen is standing there looking at you guys. She looks a little nervous, a little uncomfortable, and she's waiting. She's like, "It's just if you could make yourself ready as soon as possible."
Yes, I'm afraid that our clothing is rather limited, as we were dressed to travel for patrol and combat, not these sort of functions. But
she goes, that's all right. My father hasn't had the best of sight for many years. And she turns to the elderly dwarf and says, Thur, see to them. As soon as they're done, send Patrick back over to me and meet me at the rear entrance to the clan hall. And she makes like a rather curt bow, swings open the door, and disappears back into the main building. And Thur stands up and looks at you, and you now know the older gentleman's the older dwarf is named Thur, and he looks and goes, "Please, anything I can do to help."
That'll be all for now. I think will be suitable.
But okay. What's going on? Are we not good enough to go as is? I mean, I thought we were.
He looks and he goes, "Well, you can go as you please. Anything you wish. If you're ready to go, we can go as soon as your companion has finished bathing." Kalian's the only one who wanted to have a shower, apparently.
I will go wash and dress.
Awesome. Killeth?
Oh, did we just... So this is me not remembering. Did we just, like, crash on straw mattresses, effectively, and never take care of hygiene before that?
No,
you were shuffled into a room, and the door was closed behind you, and they were like, "Please sleep, we bring you food." And you guys passed out from basically going 2 days without rest. You had 8-hour rest, but it was right after combat, and there was a guy dying next to you, kind of thing.
It's never been a problem for him before. But I mean, if he has time, he'll bathe. Yeah. So
it's totally fine if he doesn't give a shit.
Well, yeah, no, that's the thing. Is no one's ever called him out on it before, so he just does as he pleases and gets to bathing when it feels good. But if everyone else is bathing, then it makes sense for him to bathe, just because, I mean, what else is he going to do during this time?
All right. Does anybody do anything particular before you go and tell Thur that you're ready to go meet Garthan's father?
I'll do what I can to kind of clean my armor. The dust of the road, it's probably a little bit dented from how hard I got hit. But
awesome. Do you say anything to Thur? Like he's offering to help while you guys get ready.
He'll ask actually for some assistance in donning the armor because that is tedious.
Yeah, he says, yes, certainly. Let me here, give it to me, bathe, and I'll help you with you. I'll help it, no problem.
If you could clean it a little bit, I'd appreciate it. It's damaged, I believe.
Yeah, no worries. When you come back out from bathing, the armor is spick and span. It's shining clean, and the small dents and scratches are gone. And he has it. It's propped up on the couch.
Yeah, he'll just start taking the plates and start, suiting up.
Yeah, he helps you get dressed, and you guys head off.
Yeah. I mean, Keyleth will try and get his bathing done somewhat quickly, so we'll have time to small talk with whoever's around, because those people are interesting.
You guys tell Thur you're ready, and he swings the door open, and he reaches through, and you hear him like clap his hand on somebody. And in Dwarven, he tells to go off and tell you're ready. And then he waits about a minute. He turns around. And he says, "Come with me." And he takes you out into a rather small, skinny hallway. And you notice that the hallway has lots of unordained doors. Galadin, it probably takes you a little while to figure out what it is, but it's like internal servants' hallways around the building.
Huh. So this place is very well built.
Yeah. So he takes you up and around. You guys walk for a few minutes. You go up two flights of stairs, and down a flight of stairs. And then you come around, and there's a few very, very narrow doors. And he turns back and he goes, "I'll go through and check that they're ready to see you, and then I'll open this door, and you guys can come in." So he opens the door, and you hear a loud clunk, and then a very quiet scratching sound. There's something moving on the other side of the door. And then the same sound repeats. And about another minute goes by, and then the door opens again, and you guys can step through. Who's stepping through first? Galadin?
I'll step through, yeah.
Okay. And then is it Killif or Crayon afterwards?
I mean, Crayon, you got me saying it. Crayon will go, he will specifically wait a while and let Galadin get at least halfway up the way before he walks up.
Well, the door kind of goes out and goes around something, so you can't see into the room.
He will beckon for you to kind of step behind him, like, at his side.
So, Galadin, you step out. You step into the very skinny section, and you can go left or right. And Thur is waving you over on the left side.
If Galadin kind of asks him to go by his side, he will.
Yeah,
Awesome.
kind of like, sort of like you did fight with me. Like, why are you trailing behind like that?
Cool. Then he will specifically walk next to Galadin as opposed to behind.
Killif, are you just falling behind, just kind of like, do?
Yeah, no, this is all kind of still, he's out of his element a little bit. Tried to talk to people, they were just kind of very formal about it, which is weird. And none of this really feels at all right. Kind of, for the first time, is feeling like he isn't just instantly belonging to a place. Add that into the fact that he's still he completed the job and Maxwell's not here. That's a problem.
You guys went to the wrong place. You went to the dwarves instead of back to the elves.
Yeah, exactly. This is further away, not closer. This is not what he signed up for. So it's kind of getting to that point for him.
Awesome. So, Galadin and Crayon, you step out from behind, and you quickly realize that, you've stepped out, and there's a large statue that has shifted forward. It's about 18 feet tall, about 12 feet wide, and it's a short, squat, plate mail dwarf with 2 warhammers. And you step out into a warm, musty, long, wooden hall with huge stone columns. And you see that there's, a large throne that you can see the back of, and standing to the side of it looks like Garthen, Captain Ironhammer, but he's wearing, like, noble's clothing. And his back is to you. And Thur kind of waves you guys forward to, like, walk with him.
No, I'll stand by his side.
He walks you down the left side of the room, and then between some of the tables and back into the center to, like, loop around to come up to the front. You see that there is an extremely old, bent-over, crooked back, long, wispy white beard, eyes glazed over with white cataracts, pockmarked face, but it's wearing a heavy helm that matches the helm that you saw fly off the mountain from Captain Ironhammer. And he's sitting with a ornate, beautifully shapen, glistening, and it glows slightly, war axe across his lap. And he's sitting in armor that is a complete juxtaposition with the decrepit nature of this man. It's beautiful. It looks like it was crafted by the finest smiths yesterday. And it seems to be holding the man up inside it. And you see that Captain Ironhammer, Gerthan, is standing to the side, but then you see that Captain Ironhammer is also standing to the left side. The Captain Ironhammer on the left is standing in the armor that you recognize. It's been cleaned, it's been well looked after now, and he stands with his warhammer and tower shield on his back. And then Captain Ironhammer once again stands on the other side in noble's clothes. You hear the doors swing behind you, and quick-footed Saracen comes quickly, almost jogging up, and she passes you, and goes up and takes a seat to the far side of the Garathan that is in armor. And Thur steps forward and bows out and just kind of disappears behind you guys and makes his way around and out of the way. You stand here silently before the head of the Ironhammer family, and 2 copies of Garathan, and Saracen.
Which one looks like they're limping or injured?
Neither look injured, they're both standing at the ready. The one on the left is wearing the armor that was worn by Ironhammer when you fought with him. It's identical armor. It's been mended slightly. It appears maybe that the shield is a different shield, but you can only see the back of it. You guys, stand in a row. Does anyone say anything? Killif just like...
I'll just kind of twist my hand and give a low bow.
The elderly man coughs and shifts forward. Garathan in armor reaches over and puts his hand on his shoulder and goes, Father, these are my friends. And the Garathan in clothing makes a small, snide cough. And Saracen gives him an aggressive glance. Did you do anything after introducing yourself? Did Crayon or Killif, do you introduce yourself?
Kalian will bow as well and kind of wait until he's spoken to.
It's a pleasure to finally meet you, my lord. I am Galadin of House Silverfrond. This is my companion, Calian. And my other companion, Killif.
He coughs and sits up and he goes, yeah, come closer.
He'll, nod and walk closer, but kind of very, as non-threateningly as possible.
Clean, Killif, what do you do?
I do the same. I'm staying at Galadin's side because...
Yeah. He says, no, just the tall one.
Wait, which one's the tall one?
Galadin is slightly taller than you.
Oh, is he? Okay, then...
He's actually... You're tall for a half-elf. Galadin is short for an elf. But Galadin would look taller because he's so much more narrow than you.
Kalian will give the, smallest of, shrugs and stand still.
Keyleth is... Sorry, go ahead.
Give me a perception check, everybody. Garathan leans over and whispers something.
Okay. Oh, that's right. My roll 20 reset, so I have to pull up Keyleth again. But I had him on a separate window, like a damned fool.
So I'm thinking about inspiration because I kind of want to hear this.
I'd recommend you not using it on this one.
No, definitely not. I'm just gonna roll it.
I'm thinking about using that sorcerer power that lets me have terrible things happen later.
But it's like the shittiest version of inspiration ever. It's like inspiration, but later I get to die.
It's inspiration, but worse. Also, there are consequences.
Awesome. Give me your perception, Gillif.
If you have the sheet open, I would prefer you roll the button right now because I just got page unresponsive by roll 20.
Yep. I did so.
Thank you.
Awesome. So Galadin, you can make it out. And he basically just says that they were all quite helpful, Father. They saved us all. And it's just barely hearable. It wasn't common though. So you step forward and you walk all the way up to him. You might stop a few times maybe as you're getting too close, but he brings you closer. When you get close, he reaches up and he's like, makes his hand gesture like to touch your face. You can see now that he's clearly blind.
Yeah, so I'll kind of incline my head forward, kind of push my hair back a bit. I'm probably have my helm like couched under my arm.
Yep.
So just lean forward.
He runs his hand over your face, and then like sits back in the chair, and he seems to be like exhausted from the effort. And he leans over and puts his hand on Garathan's hand and says, and no words come out. Garathan stands there for a minute. He looks over at the copy of himself standing to the left side, and then he steps forward and says, "Friends, there is much problem afoot." And the copy of him steps forward and says, "Yeah, and someone's going to have to answer for it." Does Crayon cough or does Celtic cough?
That was partially like Kalian, but he's just kind of quietly standing and waiting to find out what this issue is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna once again stand and kind of look towards this other familiar yet not familiar person.
Yeah. Looking like dead on, you're very close to them now. You notice that there is some extremely subtle differences in their complexion. Before that Ironhammer is like, he's younger middle-aged. Like, if he's a human, he'd be in his 30s. And this gentleman appears, the same as him, but he appears to be slightly less weathered. He appears to be, like, in slightly better condition, but it's only noticeable because you're standing 4 feet from him. You couldn't have seen it from across the room, even with elf eyes.
So perhaps less of a warrior, more of a politician.
Yeah. And Garathan looks at you, and he waves Crayon and Killif forward, and he kind of, like, motions Galadin to step back a little bit.
And I will come forward at that point.
He looks over at his father, and he says, "Saracen, can you, sister, can you see to him?" And she gets up and comes over, and she makes a whistle, and a few dwarves come almost out of nowhere from just some hidden door off in the back, and they come over, and two of them like lift up the elderly gentleman and walk him out, and Saracen walks away, and you're left in the area with Garathan, and you could probably guess from earlier the names you were going to meet. Who would you guess is Morak?
I'm guessing Morak is his brother.
It looks like his twin brother.
Yeah.
So Morak looks at you and goes, he looks at Galadin and goes, "So I hear you guys didn't, I hear they pointy ears didn't steal our stuff. Didn't steal our beloved."
No, we did not.
I'm sorry,
Yes.
was Keyleth told to move forward as well, or was he told to just kind of
Yeah,
stay there?
you guys have all lined up again. You're all next to each
Okay.
other. You're slightly further back, and
Yeah.
Garathan and Morak have moved closer in towards the throne. And they don't really... Neither of them sits in it, but they're both taking a physical presence to own it.
Gotcha.
Do you guys have a response?
No, we did not take it. And he'll just kind of smile coolly at him.
And not all of us have pointy ears, all right? Gosh.
Morak chuckles, and he goes, they're a little pointy. Pointier than mine. And he gives a rather friendly smile. And Girthin turns to him and smiles a little bit at him, but it's a very conflicted smile. And he steps forward, and he looks at all of you and goes, The council is going to be convened. It's a pre-war council. Pre-war? There's motion. He looks at you and says, well, it has no name, but if this council goes badly, they will call a war council to discuss issues.
Council to decide a council?
He looks at you and goes, that is the way we do things.
Why?
He kind of looks down at you and he goes, things move at a particular pace in our kingdom.
Slowly?
At this point, Kalian's going to kind of whisper to Keyleth, like, I live in a hut and you live under a bridge. Like, I don't think we can really judge how these people live their lives.
Morak chuckles right while you're saying that. He's like, yeah, things do move pretty slowly, especially for the old. And Garathan gives him, like, a stern glance.
I'm going to kind of, like, at the comment of pre-war council, kind of give them a glare.
Yeah. He goes...
Because the implication of that is pretty clear.
Yeah. Garathan looks at you and he goes, the council convenes tomorrow, and we must convince them that what we saw, what you did, is real. And he turns and walks away, like he grabs his head, like he's part of his beard blasts away, part of his hair blasted away, and like he smarts as his fingers dig into the small cut. You see they're mostly healed over. He's clearly gotten some regeneration magic, and he turns back and he goes, "But it's only my word," and then Morak says, "And their word," very dismissively.
Hey, listen, if you need me to be an expert witness for the sandwich committee, I'm there.
At this point, Kalian is going to look to Morak and say, forgive me for prying, and if this is not my place, then just say, what are your thoughts on this? Do you believe that we did what your brother said?
Morak looks at his brother, and he gives a rather dismissive look. It's almost rude. And he goes, if my brother says it, I believe it. It's not sarcastic, but it seems to flirt with emotions that are similar too.
Yeah. It's fucking sibling rivalry is what it is. I love it.
It's also like that family thing of like, listen, I'll defend you, but I think you're fucking dumb as hell.
We hate each other, but we can't let the rest of the world see that we hate each other. It's if there's anything we can do to help with this council,
Morak looks at you and he's like, well, you're going to be called before it. And he looks at Galen and he's like, well, if you will. And Garathan turns to you and he goes, please, I don't know if you'll be believed, and if you're not, the risk is dire, but, well, even... And he looks over at Morak and he goes, to myself as well, but if you wish to leave, I can send you home, but if not, I need your help convincing the council. The Stonefoots have... You remember, I told you that the scryers gave the information and that we had to rush back before my men returned?
Mm-hmm.
The Stonefoots, and he turns to Morak and he goes, you're involved in this, tell them. And Morik goes, yes, Boltil and Gimond of Stonefoot, they have been stirring extremely liberal allegations since you left 6 days past. And the farther clans have been gathering their troops, and I have some tell that even the Cloudborn are gathering the Legion in Regalia. And the gold mines, they have brought forth all of the treasury to bring down to the Merchants Guild, and it looks like the Nimble Hands, they're refurbishing the war armors.
That's a lot of names.
You would not have this happen, would you?
Mark looks at you and goes, there's no benefit to going to war with your people.
We would both be destroyed.
Let me ask a question.
We cannot fight you in your mountains, nor can you fight us in our woods.
Yeah.
They don't want to believe us, right?
Killif?
And they're iffy about you, right?
He goes, Morak looks back and forth. Garathan gets a nervous look on his face, and Morak looks at Garathan and says, there's none more hated in the council than Garathan. Garathan gets like an injured look on his face, and he goes, well, it's true, brother. You're loved by the people, so the council hates you.
And when you say that, when he says that, Kaelin's gonna be like, I know that. He's gonna give him that, like, I know that feel, bro. Like,
we just connected harder than you realized.
Like, we're bros now. We both have, like, a half-assed beard. Like, it's great.
Oh, awesome. So yeah, Killif, did you say anything other than the joke about the serious amount of names? Because, fucking dwarves.
Yeah. No, like, other than that, he'll be like, so, wait, they don't want to believe you, and they refuse to believe us, right? On what we say?
Morik looks and he goes, Silverfrond, your house is young, correct?
It is young, only since the Great War.
And he looks over to Gertha and he says, last night I spoke to Hadri, and it looks like it looks like her fiancé's family spies have good things to say of his family. He may be respected to some degree.
Well, I mean, what if we just kind of spitballing here, but what if we told them a lie that was close to what they wanted to hear, but included, the same end result of what we wanted to happen?
No, so
we will not lie.
We don't need to lie.
Okay, we won't lie. No, I got you. Okay. So, Night of the Truth and Justice over there.
And at this point, Kaelin's going to kind of point to the Keelan. Like, we don't need to lie. Like, we have proof that it wasn't us.
Do we?
The hammer.
The hammer. That hammer is clearly of human make.
There's also a letter.
There is a letter as well. We have evidence. Furthermore,
the letter's in Draconic.
We might have
furthermore, we have some other witnesses we can call forth. And he'll kind of look towards Garathon. Garathon, where are the two hippogriffs?
He looks at you and goes, They've been stabled.
I wonder if they would be willing to speak on our behalf.
He looks at you and coughs a little, and he's like, "Whoa!" And he goes, "Elf magic."
He nods, and gnome.
He looks and goes,
"But not Fae."
He sits back and he looks at Morik. He's like, Morik goes, "It's risky." And he kind of leans on the armrest of the throne, and you see very quickly Garrick does the same. Garathan does the same.
See.
And Morak looks back and he rubs his large, lustrous beard and goes, a few of the Cloudborn know of your magic and vouch for its legitimacy. I don't believe old Calgol would. I don't believe Calgol is of the persuasion. He doesn't know nearly as much as his son does. And he looks at Killif and goes, "You're not on the best of terms with Gillum, are you?"
With who?
I hear, and he kind of looks down. He's like, "I hear you bested him in fisticuffs."
Oh, that guy.
That would come back to us.
So here's the thing.
Listen, he was talking out of school, and I helped correct him. That's all.
He looks over at Gallant and he goes, the Griffins would be they could give some, they would be given some credence, but unless Gillum or Bologna has no knowledge of that, and none of the other sons would be brought into the council. Unless Gillum can be brought to heed and brought to give true witness to what you speak with them upon, I doubt it. I doubt it'll make anything even better. It'll just make things much worse.
Quick
Then
out of
we
character
should try to
thing here.
do that.
Yep,
Who
kill it.
better?
Yeah, Benny.
I might be doing an internal retcon here, but I thought after the fight, like, he had a fireside chat with the guy.
Yeah, you actually ended up on pretty good terms with him.
Okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. Like, after you sat with him, you guys talked, and you actually made a pretty good situation with him. Morak and Gerthon's determination of the situation might not be accounting for that, or it might be, and they might know other stuff. You don't know.
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I thought I heard the other two kind of go, "Oh fuck," when that happened. That's what I was like, wait a minute. I think we might be better off than we realize.
Yeah. Killif might think you're better off, or it could be that the sons of Ironhammer, of the Ironhammer clan, might know some stuff you don't know. Maybe this guy holds a better grudge when he gets home. Maybe he's been embarrassed by the tale of this since he's gotten home. It's complicated.
Of the tiny man besting him?
Yeah. Don't forget, my fucking political shit is twisted.
Oh, it is simply my thinking that the most impartial opinion would be from the very creatures whose offspring we did try to save.
I mean, listen, Gillum and I are pretty tight. Whatever we need to talk to him about, I'm pretty sure he's pretty open to it. So let's just go down there, we'll work it out with him, we'll be fine.
Beyond that, were you able to recognize the language of the letter?
It was Draconic?
Yeah, could we recognize that it was Draconic?
Yes, you did. You did make I think it was an Arcana check to figure out that it was Draconic. Yeah, actually, that was you. Yeah, Galadin knew it was Draconic, but he couldn't read it.
And he also mentioned, and if we could have an individual on our behalf who can interpret Draconic.
He looks and goes, well, I don't know if Thur, and he yells, "Thur, come in here!" And the elderly dwarf comes running in, and how's your Draconic? And he goes, I'm much out of practice. It's been many years since the academy. And he goes, all right, well, and he looks over at Morak and goes, Giltree knows Draconic, doesn't he? Morak says, yeah, but you know how difficult it is to get him involved in anything to do with the family business. And Gerthen looks over to you, he's like, it's not that difficult to find someone that speaks Draconic, but to find someone that speaks Draconic that we can trust. My brother, Giltree, he's a cleric of Torag up in the Grand Temple. If you could convince him, and he looks back at Mork and looks back and goes, no one in the family is really on speaking terms with him, but he is to be trusted, just...
Yeah, no, if someone needs to be convinced, we're pretty good at that.
So
then we will go speak to him, because we'll need to interpret this letter before the council meeting.
So my biggest question is, do your clans particularly want to go to war with the elves, or just do they desire war for what they feel is an injustice?
more. Girthin gets kind of a like clouded look in his face, just kind of like, oh god, like he gets that like, man, that's like asking me a homework question. Morak gets up from the seat that he's sitting in and steps forward, and he goes, well, and he looks at you and he goes, do you know anything of our politics?
No, I honestly do not, and it's not to be disrespectful, because honestly I don't understand any of their politics, and he's going to kind of thumb to Galadin when he says that.
Morak looks.
He's like, I've never been much of a. He's going to say, I've never been much of a politician. I've always been more of a swordsman.
Is there a roll I could make? History, maybe?
No, I'll tell you what you would know.
Okay.
Actually, give me a history check just in case you did a really good in school or something like that. Okay.
Yeah.
15. Okay, cool. Histories works. So, you did do a little bit better than what I was just going to give you. So, you know that there's basically 3 tiers to Dwarven society. There is the great clans. They rule the society. There is the clans, which is the vast majority of Dwarven society, and then there's the common clans. The common clans aren't really clans, aside from the fact that dwarves always want to be part of a clan. They're big about their families, that kind of stuff. The common clans break apart and reform and that kind of stuff. So the great clans are the big giant names. They rule the society. Other than that, you do remember some of your more advanced history classes. No, not history classes. Some of your more advanced politics classes that you didn't do as well in. They weren't really important. They were more the direction you were going to go if you weren't going to become a paladin. If you were going to go the way your father wanted you to go. You do know that there is some political theology that determined that the belief was that the dwarves were moving towards a more democratic system, but that was only current theory. They didn't have any proof or evidence. There isn't a lot of connection beyond base level trade. So
yeah,
you can answer as he says. You can answer with whatever you think's appropriate when he says, "Do you know anything of our politics?" He turns from Clean, who obviously doesn't, and kind of gestures towards Galadin, presuming the same question towards him.
As much as you would know of our politics.
He kind of shuffles and goes, I wouldn't be so sure. And he looks over and he goes, the gold mines are crafty. But he looks and he goes, well, there's 7 clans that run the Council of Molduran. There's the Ironhammers, and he put motions to us, like to himself and everyone around. There's the Stonefoots, and he looks, and Girthin says, our mortal enemy. And, he says that cold and brutal. A fierce amount of hatred just kind of spills out from the way he says it. There's the Cloudborn, who you've met some of. Although I believe you've met one Stonefoot. And he looks at Girthin, he says, yes, yes, you met Fioth. And he looks at Kali and he goes, there's the one with a crossbow pointed at your head.
I remember him.
Yeah, and then there's the Plainsfoots, the Gold Mines, the Nimble Hand, and currently the common clans have elected the Farthers as the 7th member of the Great Council. As for the Stonefoot, he looks at Girthin, they are not our allies in any way, shape, or form. The Cloudborn are very close to us, and he looks at Girthin, he goes, Girthin is the brother, as the Grand General of the Aerial Legion, saying extremely dismissively, he commands most of the Cloudborn's families. And Girthin gets a very proud look on his face. And he goes, the Nimble Hands care not for any politics whatsoever, and besides, really, and he looks back at Gareth, Ragdin is the only nimble hand left. He's younger than both of us. And the Farthers, they go wherever the coin is greatest, and currently that's the gold mines. The Plainsfoots, it's unsure where their allegiances lie. currently the council hangs in the balance and has for some time since father's illness and age. And he looks at you guys and he goes, as far as interest in war, the Stonefits have been lusting for war with the elves for 2 generations. Since
Why is this?
Before the Great War. And he kind of looks back and forth and he's like, give me a persuasion roll.
Okay. Let's try that, yeah.
I have advantage because of your relationship with Garthen. Oh, it doesn't matter. It's good to have roll high.
Roll high.
Morak kind of like paces a little bit and he looks back at Garthen and they share some glances. And he looks and goes, the Stonefoots, their blood is muddied. Their blood is muddied.
So I'll kind of incline my head for a second. Muddied?
Like mine?
He gets almost a little embarrassed. He goes, Stonefoots, the stout ground of the great clans. The second clan in name alone and first in many generations is... They have Drugar in their blood. And I hear tell lately that they worship Drangavit.
Who?
He raises an eyebrow at that.
Yeah, Drangavit, Galadin would know this from religion, is it's the sister of Torag. It's the closest thing to an evil dwarven god. It's an extremely lawful god, and it's all about hatred and revenge.
Yeah, the Dugar are also the Grey Dwarves, which are...
The Underdwarves.
They're the Underdwarves, and they're as they keep slaves. They're very nasty dwarves.
They're racially evil.
Yeah.
And almost all of Nuyen Thief has an Underdark.
So that means Drow exist, huh?
Yeah. And that's something that, like, most people would know, like, you know, dirty tales, you know, don't go too far into caves, that kind of thing. You know, the dwarves have tons of underground, and because of the way you guys live in a mountain, the elves have lots of underground, but it's all in a hollowed-out mountain. So yeah, he confides in you that one of the great clans of the Dwarven Council of Moldoran is part Drugar. And Drugar and dwarves are like sworn enemies. Yeah. Galadin, do you have
so he'll kind of
articulating,
just
do you have a
kind of
response?
nod. He's not even going to really say anything in response to that because that's a really dirty secret right there.
So he looks at Cleon and he goes, they lust for war. Some would want this out of this crime that's happened. It could motivate the people to accept it.
But, and bear with me here, do you particularly don't want war, or you don't want war with the elves? That's the very important question here, because we have a lot of proof pushing towards war with the humans.
He goes,
I need to know if you want us to try to, keep the elves out of it as much as possible, or if you want us to attempt to persuade the council away from war, period.
War with the Empire is at least 2 generations away. And Garthen steps forward. He's like, no, war, that could happen anytime. And Morak goes, brother, you know not what you do if you speak. Garthen gets really upset. And he's like, if we went to war with the humans, it would be just, if not more, catastrophic. The Shattered Lands, they require our attention. And Morak they start getting really heated and almost yelling at each other.
Okay, so no war. Got it.
Morak looks back and he goes, no, and Ugh, and Garthen gets really pissed off and stomps away. You hear his like heavy boots clank against the wooden floor, which is unusual. And Morik looks and he goes, as I said, war with the Empire is at least 2 generations away. By our people's standards, or yours. Yours. And he kind of turns halfway and looks at Galadin for that. But war with the elves is something that could happen now.
He nods. They breed like rats.
And
Wow.
he looks and goes, Garthen is correct. Those with a brain in their heads, we care more about the real risks, but that's for high and mighty topics of another day. I like how Benny's expression is probably identical to Killif's expression.
Yeah, no, like, sorry if I just like this is what's going on with Keyleth right now. He's just like, I don't know what these people are saying. Every so often when I understand what they're saying, it's not good. No, none of this. I don't even care about any of this. Is the sort of what's going through his mind. Like, none of this sounds like I'm going to be close to Maxwell anytime fucking soon.
Well, if you notice it from earlier, there was the illusion that you guys could just say no and they could take you home. That was one of the first things Earthen said, but...
Yeah, no, like, Keyleth is waiting for them to finish this so he can just say, yeah, so I guess we're just going home.
So Kalian's attitude on this, and he's going to say this to you, is if we stay, we have a chance of convincing them not to go to war, and then we're safe. We also have a chance of them executing us. If we go, Galadin's probably going to make sure we get executed for not stopping the war. So if we go home, we're definitely getting executed. If we stay, we have a chance of not getting executed.
We're not going to get
executed. The only thing, we're not going to, because we're going to stay here and convince them not to, like we have been for our entire lives.
Oh
Do you know how often I have to talk people out of killing me? I'm a master at this point.
What are you talking about? We've never been in any real danger.
That's because I always have to talk people out of killing you.
I don't remember that.
It's because you're usually drunk.
Galadin, Morak seems rather entertained by this little piece of conversation. Garathan has come back, and he's kind of waiting for you guys to talk things over.
I'm just kind of standing there somewhat stoically. I'm not responding to the whole have them executed. If anything, I look slightly offended.
That was supposedly, like, I was saying that's something we will talk about later, like me and Kalian and Keyleth.
For sure. I imagine it's not something you would be saying in front of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like that might be something we'd say in front of him it's like in this heated moment, but do it in Sylvan.
It works in this point. It's not anything inappropriate or too offensive, and it is somewhat realistic.
If Galadin was there, what Kalian would have said is, if we go back, we'll be executed for not stopping the war. He wouldn't have mentioned Galadin. Yeah. So we could have that conversation there, and it's, if we go back, we're going to be executed for not stopping the war. You know how the elves are.
They're really understanding.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
When have they not been?
I'm staying.
I cannot ask either of you to remain here, but I see it as my duty that I must.
I will also help with this council. If you have puppies or something, you can give him a puppy and he'll stay too.
Fuck you.
So we will be there for your council.
I'll
come. Yeah, no, it's fine. I'll come. I'll say shit.
The council is tomorrow evening, and it's early in the afternoon today.
Yeah, no, I'm definitely going.
How I feel with us attempting to stop the council. This is Keyleth's attitude on us trying to stop the council from going to war.
We're trying our best. Your best is an idiot.
Yeah, so he's gonna kind of look towards a
Really
Morak.
proud of
Well, then it appears that we must prepare immediately. If you can provide us with a guide, we would go to the temple now to get that letter translated.
He looks and he yells over and says, Thur. Goes, can you get these gentlemen to the temple? And he kind of, the old man has a look of surprise on his face, and he goes, you mean to see Giltree? And yes, Giltree. And he goes, he looks at them and goes, probably? Probably? And he looks at you guys, would you be comfortable dressing differently?
Like, how different?
Yeah, I guess that's what we're doing today.
He'll kind of look at his armor. We do not have any other clothing.
No. Don't worry, we'll figure something out.
And he looks at Killith and goes, I could get the Emerald Sun there easily.
What do you mean you could get me there easily?
It's not unusual to see Emerald Sun or Stone Sun walking around Molduran.
Basically, getting to the temple means we have to go through the city, and we're kind of in hiding until this whole council to stop war with the elves.
Well, let's just go to that ceremony thing that they're hiding us for the surprise, and then we don't have to hide anymore.
And Keelan's gonna pat Keyleth on the shoulder. Say, we'll talk about that. That will be our next stop.
Can't we just bump up our appearance and then boom, we don't have to worry about this? Problem solved.
I doubt that once we step out of this house, I or Kalian will have any way to conceal our appearance. It's not a matter of look, it's a matter of height.
Garthan, who's standing on 2 stairs higher than you and is now eye level, looks at you. He's like, that's true.
So we should not conceal our presence anyway. We simply have to be quick.
Is there a way to commune with him without going to the temple? Some kind of messaging spell?
Oh.
I mean, so you guys would prefer it if no one saw you at all?
And Morik says, yes, but Giltree will not accept any. No.
Okay, couple questions. When are we going to do this thing that you guys really want to do?
Tomorrow night, says Morak.
Okay. And Morak, how far away is this? Like by walking or slight jogging?
The council chambers?
Yeah, council chambers. We'll go with that.
Oh, we typically go by goat cart, and we'd be there within 2 hours, an hour and a half, depending on traffic.
Okay, if you could make it, could you make it in an hour?
Yes. If you needed to rush, but you won't be needing to. Those are out in the central chambers, and you can travel most of the way by goat cart. The problem with getting to the Grand Temple is that you must make it through the bazaar, and there's no vehicles allowed in the bazaar. The temple stands at the head of the great courtyard.
Okay, and how long of a trip is that? Through the bazaar?
20 minutes, given good foot traffic.
Okay. Keyleth will look up to his 2 big end friends, and he'll reach out both of his hands and he'll slap them on their asses. As he does so, sorry, I slapped the blinds. As he does so, they they can respond however they like, but they will become invisible in that moment. I'll say, problem solved.
Poof.
Yeah.
You guys look down and you're looking like halfway through your ethereal selves.
I admit this is a curious sensation.
Morik says,
this will work.
That works absolutely fine. And
there we go. Now I need to get some rest. That was really exhausting. It doesn't look like it because I'm amazing.
Awesome. Can
Do I need to clean up any other problems, guys? And he'll look at you two. Or at least where he last saw you before he turned you invisible.
what level spell is that?
It's a level 2 spell.
Okay, so
That
we
is
need
the
to
highest spell
we
he
need to
can
roll for wild magic twice,
Okay.
and
Yes.
it's a disadvantage.
Oh God, I hope
So
it just
if
casts a
any
fireball
of
and
these
kills us
four
all.
if any of these 4 dice is a nat 1, wild magic will happen. Cool. Nope.
Okay.
Nope.
I did it. I got it. I got it on the last one. Got it, guys.
Luckily for you guys, I'd already rolled it, but yes, that would have been horrible. And Killif's like, damn it! Actually, Benny's like, damn it. Killif's like, yay, I didn't explode. Awesome. So
They're invisible. Kaboom! Fireball. And we should go, guys. We should go now.
awesome. So yeah, you Thur looks at you guys and he reaches out his hand to try to like find each of you. Clean and Galadin.
Oh, Killian is gonna kind of like touch his shoulder
Yeah.
and say,
Same
"I'm
here.
right here. Lead the way."
Awesome. He takes you quickly through the building and out to some stables. There is some massive, like 5.5 feet tall goats. You actually nearly got attacked by 2 of these before, giant goats of Numian Thief. These ones aren't nearly as ornery, or as windswept, or as wild, or as smelly, because they're mares and not billies. So, you guys get quickly loaded up into like a large, tall, narrow goat cart and ricketed off banging through the streets. You travel for about 45 minutes. How long does your spell last, Killif?
It lasts for 1 hour.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
And you're just like rocketing off. Up ahead, you start to hear more like noise and sound and people and things like that. And then Thur, the cart comes craning to a halt, and Thur swings the door opens and looks in. He can't see 2 of you, and he goes, "Okay, let's go." And you see behind you like a large, sprawling bazaar with people and shops and things everywhere.
Okay.
Ooh.
Okay, I'm gonna try to slide through the crowd without bumping into people.
Keyleth, assuming that we have an extra 40 minutes, we'll kind of go a bit slower than everyone else, looking at all the different sites.
Awesome. Yeah, because if we understood correctly, the Grand Council was like an hour and a half to 2 hours, and the bazaar, like the temple, the Grand Temple, was like 45 minutes to an hour, but most of that's foot traffic to the bazaar. So, how are you guys going to keep up, stay together? Are you going to like hold hands, or is Galadin and Clean just going to try to dodge through as Killif and Thur walk through? What's you're trying to make it through a throng of people. You see across this big bazaar, there's lots of like canvases and tents. Behind and over like a big crest, there's a series of like steps going down, and there's a big like rumbling pile of magma on the inside of this open volcano, and there's a massive, huge crested ceiling above you with buildings hanging off the ceiling, buildings built off the walls, crenulations and edges, and you're in a massive dwarven metropolis in this huge domed area, and there's a massive plain field of barren rock covered in a bazaar. How do you make it across what's your attempt to make it across while invisible? You guys gonna hold hands or just try to weave your way through?
He's just gonna tap Killian and say, meet you at the temple, keep them in sight, and just kind of try to slide through the crowd.
Yep.
Awesome.
That works for me.
So, Killian, Galadin, give me a stealth check. Gonna need 2 of them. First one, roll the first one.
So I'm going to do a little extra bonus here.
Yep.
I am going to use Misty Visions to create the vision of a random red-haired dwarf.
Yep.
In my spot.
Awesome.
So if I do bump into somebody, it just looks like a dwarf bumps into somebody.
Awesome. Yeah, that lowers your threshold by 5.
Okay. Yay, Misty Visions. Being a Fey Warlock is fun, guys.
Awesome. It's so good you did that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you guys make it along. Killif, you're aware of kind of where your spells are behind you. Galadin and Cleon have to like weave in and out, and a couple times Galadin, you have to like stop and like kind of almost dive over like a cart. 3 different times, Cleon, somebody bumps into your Misty's visions and bumps into you and turns and in Dwarven mutters something. So, give me another stealth check. You guys, Killif, you feel like you're down to the wire. There's only a few minutes left, and it looks like there's another like 4 or 5 minutes of walking across from here. Galadin, give me a stealth check.
I don't have the magic like you guys.
Awesome.
Oh, that's a good one.
Awesome. So Galadin, you see up ahead on the far left, there's a cart coming through, and on top of the cart, there's 2 like dwarves in like white cloaks, and one of them has a small smoking crenulation, and they have white robes over the cart with like red crosses, and one of them is hollering in Dwarven, "Clear the way! Clear the way!" And you're able to like quickly dodge through the crowd and grab onto the edge of the cart just as it whips by. A medical cart carries you the rest of the way, and you'll be waiting at the gate when Killif catches up, and you can step inside into the Grand Temple. And
As Killa catches up, I'm gonna push him lightly.
So Killif, you come up the stairs, and you kind of feel like your magic is vaguely somewhere in front of you, and Galadin pokes you in the chest. He's ahead of you. And then behind you, you see this small red-headed dwarf, kind of like stiff-legged, come up the stairs. And Cleon and Galadin, you guys now stand in the doorway of the Grand Temple. Thur looks at Killif and swings the door open and goes, "Let's go inside."
Okay.
As soon as he goes in, he takes a hard left, and he swings open a small, skinny wooden door beside a stone statue of Torag. But it's a skinny, like thin Torag who's like pouring a goblet of wine into a prone person's, like, it's fountaining over them and pouring down the side. And Thur looks, "Servant's entrance, come." And as soon as you guys get in, the magic fizzles.
Well, that was lucky.
Solid. Yeah, no, I mean, it seems about right.
So Thur leads you through. Coming up a couple times, he like stops you, and is like, "Whoa, whoa," and you see some people like walk ahead, and like he pushes you into like a side crevice and kind of thing. And he comes up, he goes, I'm not 100% sure where to find Giltree, but normally at this time we can find him providing sacraments over by the kitchens. If we get close, I'll go through and find him for you." And you get a little further, and he swings open a small doorway and steps into what's literally a broom closet and says, wait here."
I'll give a nod and slide in.
Cleon?
I do as I am told. Yep.
Awesome. So Galadin and Cleon, there's only just enough room for you to stand in there uncomfortably. Killif, do you squeeze in between their waists, or do you go with their...
What did Thur tell me to, like, what was Thur telling me to do, I guess?
He wasn't really directing anything towards you.
Okay, yeah, I mean, let's see where Thur's going.
Yeah. Thur takes off. He's not really paying too much attention to you, but you can follow him. He goes down a winding staircase, and you start hearing like the rattling of pots and pans and the commotion of people. And he steps out through a small doorway, and you see 2 huge doors in front of you that are swung open, and there's huge long stone benches and tables, and there's hundreds and hundreds of dwarves eating, and there's a huge stone stage with smoke billowing out and large pigs roasting, and it's a huge like kitchen. There's cauldrons sitting on the edges, and there's people serving soup. A lot of the people here have quite the filthy smell, and you see that there's two large lines leaving out of this large kitchen heading in two directions, and there's clearly a large distinction between the two styles of attire between the two lines. He makes his way through the aisle, and he finds a rather stout but hearty-looking dwarf, black hair, thin beard, a few plates, rather unadorned. He's wearing a gray chainmail coat, and he taps on his shoulder, and he goes, Master Giltree, please. And Giltree turns and goes, Thur, how many times did I tell you not to call me Master? And picks up the elderly dwarf in a big hug and tugs him up and puts him down next to him, and he looks down, and he goes, Who's your friend here? Good to see you, Emerald Son, and puts out his hand towards you.
I will shake his hand.
And he shakes your hand heartily, giving you a strong shake. And Thur leans in and he goes, I've brought friends that are in need of some aid. And he looks down and he goes, You look fine. Looking at Gilif.
Yeah, no, I agree. I'm not sure why I'm here either.
Oh. And Thur kind of tugs at him and he goes, Come, can you step away for a moment? And he goes, Certainly. And he yells for someone to come over, and somebody takes his stand at the soup where he's pouring soup out for people. And you guys weave back in through the place. Once or twice, Giltree mumbles something about, like, what is going on? Like, you're interrupting me. Galladin Clean, the door swings open, and standing before you is this black-haired, thin-beard, stout dwarf. Looking at you, and he gets a very startled expression on his face. And he looks at Thur, who's standing next to him with Killif next to him, goes, Oh! Well, that's not often what I expect to see in a... And then he switches to common. In a broom closet?
I've found myself in many different places in the last week. Wouldn't you agree, Crayon?
It's not the first time I've had to hide in a broom closet before. And he's going to kind of step out of the closet.
Yeah, he looks down at Thur. He's like, well, if we're going to have such interesting guests, let's go to my room. And
Thank you.
He starts walking off. He just turns on his heel and steps away. And he walks for a little bit and swings open a door and steps on inside. It's a rather plainly appointed room, rather uneventful, and sits down at a large wooden chair and points to you. There's a few stools, and says, "Please." Sit. What can I do for you?
I'll kind of reach into the bag of holding at my side and pull out the letter and hand it to him.
He looks at that and he goes, What is this?
It is a letter. We need you to translate it as soon as possible. Immediately, if you can.
Please.
Before tomorrow. It is very important.
And at that, Kalian says, please.
Killif, what are you doing in the room? There's some books in the corner. There's a small cauldron on one side. There's a wardrobe. There's a few stools.
What kind of books are we talking?
All manner of books.
Are they all in...
The vast majority of physical material in the room outside of the bed is a large bookshelf full of books.
Are they all in Dwarven? Or are we talking
Dwarven,
multiple languages?
Common, all manner of languages you don't recognize.
Okay. Because they keep harping on him about this one. He's gonna look at the giant bookshelf and he's just gonna turn over to the two members who would know this and say, "Any of these in Gnomish?"
The Gilfrey looks up from the scrap of paper he's reading and he goes, and he reaches for, I didn't catch your name, Emerald Son.
I probably didn't give it. Which one of these are gnomish?
Because you don't speak. You can't tell?
I mean, it'd be just faster if I had someone help me find the ones that were in gnomish.
Well, ironically, the top shelf is gnomish. He says, ironically, the top shelf is gnomish. And the shelf is about 6 feet off the ground. Like a dwarf would have to get a stool to get up to it.
I mean, on the one hand, it's a great compliment because it's at the top where it should be. On the other hand, I mean, how many short jokes are you going to throw at us? Like, we're not that much smaller than you. You know that, right?
It looks because I need a stool to get up there as well. There's a small ladder on the side. And there's like a small folding ladder that's like crammed in between the shelf and the wall.
Okay. Yeah. So Keyleth will try and grab the little ladder and he'll put it up there and he'll climb up the ladder. And as sort of a safety bet, since I think he said all of them, but he might have said most of them, he's going to grab more than just one book, a few books.
Okay.
So that way...
When you're up there, you notice one of the books says Imperium Commonissus, which is like common for the common language, and then there's a bunch of on the spine. There's a bunch of other languages next to it.
I'll grab that one. Seems interesting.
Yeah. You grab it down. While this is going on, Gilthree is reading the note. He seems to have read it, and then he's reading it like once or twice more. Kill, if you take that book down. You flip it open, and on the inside, it's an English. It's a common to gnomish to dwarvish, to Underdark translator.
Solid. That's a big win. I'm gonna start looking at that one.
Awesome.
Getting basic words down.
You're gonna start flicking through that.
Yeah.
And Gilthree looks at you guys, and he looks up, and he looks at Thur, and he goes, "Thur, what's going on?" And Thur goes, "I'm sorry, Master, but..." And he looks to Galadin and Cleon, like, hopefully that you would respond.
Basically, apparently and he stops and he looks at Galadin. He's like, do you want to explain this?
I think perhaps you deliver it better.
Okay. He's going to shrug and say, okay. Essentially, he was the brother of Garathan, right?
He's a brother of Garathan and Mora.
A brother of Garathan.
You didn't get any more information on that? Like, what kind of brother?
Your
kin. He appears much older. Much older. Like, if he was a human, he appears that he'd be in, like, his 50s or 60s.
Basically, we ran into your kin, Garathan, in the woods near our home. He was looking for someone. He was basically looking for your lost hippogriffs. He asked our assistance in locating them upon a mountain that is close to our home. And we fought on that mountain together and brought him back here. Anyway, on that mountain, we found this document along with a hammer of human make used to smash a large gem inside the mountain, which we think was responsible for a tortured elemental that attacked your brother. After your brother was safe, or attacked your kin, after Garathan was healed enough to move, we came here, and he and your other kin, Morak, informed us that there will be a council to decide if the dwarves will go to war with the elves, and we want to avoid that if at all possible. So we're hoping this document will help us.
He looks at you and looks around and goes, "Emeraldson, the second book on the third shelf to the left. Could you get that for me?"
Yeah. This one right here.
And it's like this big. You have to like, oh, and like come down from the stool.
Okay, yeah, I will try and not fall ass first.
You bring it over to him. He gets up and takes it from you, and he steps over to the side of the room. There's a small altar of Torag, and he kneels down in front of it and puts the book on his lap and starts flipping slowly through the pages. And he says, "Where was it that you dealt with this element?"
It was on I forgot the name of the mountain right now, but it was on the peak, well, as close to the peak as you can safely get of the blank mountains. The gym I spoke of, Kilif and I flew on one of your hippogriffs up to the very tip, and there was a cavern that led to a spiral staircase, just what seemed to be forever down, and at the bottom was the cracked gym we located.
Well,
I tried to destroy the thing, but
And like when he starts to say that, like Kalian kind of like kicks him with his foot.
When you start saying that, Giltree stops flipping the pages, and he quickly looks over his shoulder at you and looks back, and he's facing away from you guys. And he says, "Could you describe to me the elemental in more detail?"
He had it looked like a hodgepodge of every element. He had one of his limbs was made of water, one of fire, or like magma, and Kalian will explain it, and he will also mention the stones that it controlled.
Well then, and he flips through the pages. About 10 minutes will go by of just silence as he flips through the pages, quietly contemplating the book. I'm assuming Galadin and Clean stay still. Kilif, what do you do?
Keyleth is he's honestly, the moment that he found this Rosetta Stone of sorts, for the first time he got intrigued by the concept of standard education.
So you're looking through that.
Yeah.
And he looks over and he picks up the book and puts it down on the chair and walks over to you guys after about 10 minutes. And he looks each of you over, and he pulls up his chainmail coif. It's almost like a ceremonial, like, tunic made of chainmail. And he reaches out and he goes, "May I?" And he looks as though he's looking to put a palm on each of your foreheads.
Yeah, and Kalian will like lean down and let him do it.
He places his palm on your forehead, and you can't see it, but the others can. A thin, silvery white light beads out from underneath his chest and up and rolls around his arm, and a small strikes of silver and white light move over your forehead. And he pulls his hand back and goes, "May I?" And looking at Galadin.
Can I try to figure out what he just did?
Yeah.
I want to kind of know what that was first.
What would I roll?
Arcana. It's gonna be difficult though. It's cleric magic.
I have shit Arcana anyway, so woo.
Can you break 20?
Yeah, on a 20.
Awesome. You need to break.
So.
You need to break 20.
Break 20, then no.
Okay.
But yeah.
Yeah, you know what? I'll bend my head over, lean towards him. I think this is mind magic, but yeah, I have nothing to hide.
Okay.
You can always
do you
burn
want to
edge.
try to figure out what it is, Galadin, with Arcana?
Yeah. Well, I'm probably not going to figure it out, so I'll just.
It may be easier for you because
because
of
I
divine
use holy
magic as well.
Yeah. Your threshold is 15.
Okay, let's try.
I mean, am I able to figure that out by watching it, or is this just like I'm watching it sort of passive?
If you're watching it, you can figure it out.
Oh, wait, I'm engrossed in reading. I forgot. Good call.
Yeah. So yeah, Galadin, you're not sure. You're certain that it's divine magic. You're certain it's cleric magic, but you couldn't tell the spell from looking at it.
He'll tilt his head forward.
The same thing goes through. He steps over and walks over to Killith. Killith, you can like look up from your book, being like, "Oh, this guy's standing in front of me." And he puts his hand out and he bends down. He's like, "May I?" And he's going to touch your forehead.
What are you doing? You kind of like momentarily pack his head up just a little bit. What's up with that?
I'm asking Toreg for some guidance in these matters.
And you need to touch me to talk to your Toreg?
Well, I asked him for guidance regarding you.
Yeah, I figured this was some kind of like detect evil.
Not sure how I feel about this. It's gonna be quick, right? It's just the forehead.
Yeah. And he just nods solemnly.
I'll look over to Crayon.
And Crayon will nod and say, "I did it."
That's not saying much. And he'll smile as he leans his head forward.
He touches you to the forehead. You guys see the same magic whisk over him. And he comes back and he has his back facing you as he's looking down at the book, which is sitting closed on the chair. And he opens it and flips it open very suddenly to a page and turns around, and he shows you a sketching of the monster you fought, of the giant elemental. And he says, "Is this it?"
That is the one.
Yes, it is.
Looks like it to me.
He snaps the book shut and walks over and places it back on his shelf. And he comes back and he sits down at the chair and he goes. He has the paper and he hands it back to Galadin. He goes, "I can translate that."
That's good, right?
Yes.
I think that's good.
I would ask that you do so immediately then. Would you mind telling us what it said?
Well, I already know what it says, but what it says is of grave importance, and by Toreg's blessings, it will become very important and he seems to be being very careful with his words, and he says, in the years to come.
Okay, but
then I would know what it is.
I need to make sure that he can trust you with this. And he sits forward and he goes, "I must perform a ritual. I must beseech Torag for more clear information. Would you be willing to submit to such ritual?"
I mean, you keep giving us these vague things, and it's only so far the trust goes, buddy. Are we giving up something? What's going on here?
He looks at you and goes, "I'm not sure. I seek to define a matter of your future." And he looks at all of you and he goes, "I have augured into your lives, and you are all, by some accounts, good men." And
that's the nicest thing anybody's ever said to me.
But being good only survives the horrors of reality so long. And you are all, and he looks back from one to the other, you are all so very young. I wish to divine your future. And to do so, first you must let me, and second, you must give up payment to Torag, for which I can sacrifice for the divination.
See, I knew there was a weird thing.
What payment? Because at this point, Kalion's enacting the "you can't hustle a hustler."
Yeah.
Like he's trying to figure out if this guy is just trying to fuck us over.
Yeah. He looks at you and he goes, I must sacrifice, and he goes, and I detest speaking as my brother does, but I must sacrifice 25 golden centurions worth of value. Although, something of that value to yourself is more important than the value of the actual coinage.
I mean, we didn't exactly bring much with us. Or at least some of us didn't.
Yeah, I mean...
How much does Killian actually have on him?
Killian, 120.
You actually have enough to pay for everybody.
Yeah. I mean, I shared it with Keyleth.
Oh, Keyleth has money? Keyleth doesn't know that he has money.
It was from the gambling.
I
I completely forgot about that until right now. But he's insinuating that you could sacrifice something that matters to you that's equivalent to that value.
Right. And his response, when Galadin looks to Kalian, his response is going to be to look at the dwarf, and he's going to say, look, when we came here, we saved your brother. We've been kept locked in servants' quarters since our arrival. We had to sneak our way here. We let you cast your divination on us once. Like, we're giving you a lot of trust. Can you give us a little bit of something before we agree to this ritual?
He looks back and he taps on the book, and he goes, that was a little. And he looks at Thur and he says, Thur, I'm sorry, old friend. May you please step outside? And Thur says, oh, and he gets like kind of startled. He's by the door and he very quickly makes it out. And Giltree looks at you and goes, do you know how augury works?
Roughly. My magic's of a bit more simplistic nature.
I've seen it before, but no.
He paces back and forth and he goes, I augured your mind. I seek guidance. It's an easy task. One that Torag gives to many of those early in their training and worshipping of him. Normally, the answer is simple. And he paces back and forth. Normally the answer is a positive, a negative, a deal with such. When I placed my hand upon your foreheads, I was bound by crippling indecision, he says aggressively. There is things to come soon and not so soon that are very, very complicated. And it looks like there is a chance that you may be involved. The trust I'm putting in you is much bigger than the trust I am giving you. You must submit to Torag's trust. And he doesn't ask to give any himself.
I met this Torag guy.
When he says that...
When you say that, Killif, he has like a shocked look on his face. And he goes, and he doesn't respond.
Yeah. When you say that...
this for an elf?
He looks and he goes, I believe so.
Then I will do it.
Kalian is going to reach into, like, he's going to go reach down for his coin purse. And he's going to say, when you know the exact future, there's not much trust there. And he's going to pull out 5 platinum coins and hand it to him. And I said, that'll pay for me and the paladin. And he's going to look over at Keyleth and say, Keyleth has his own money.
Feels like I do.
He will look for wherever the hell he put that money.
You find like a coin purse that's been like, it's actually just like a flap of leather that's been folded over some coins, and it's like in a fold of your robe that you forgot about.
Have I had this the whole time? He'll like say that to Kalian.
I mean, it's not like we've been anywhere for you to spend it.
We are somewhere where I can spend it now. Like,
yes, on pay this man to invade your future.
Fine, but it better be worth it. How many of these do I get in?
Almost Yeah. 2 of the silver ones, 2 of the platinum ones, and 5 of the gold ones.
Okay, all right. Is this like is this like a tipping thing that you were talking about before?
No, you
Okay.
don't have to tip.
Okay. All right, there.
And before he does, when Kalian goes to give this guy basically what he's going to do is he's going to ask Keyleth to hand his money over to Kalian, and then when you do that, he's going to put it in with the 5 platinum pieces, and he's going to go to Reach, and he's going to say, once you've performed this ritual, I ask that if we gain your trust from this, you will speak on our behalf during the council meeting.
Give me a persuasion check.
Okay.
It's going to be difficult.
I will use my inspiration on this.
Okay.
So let me see what else if there's anything I can use. I will not use friends because that could be bad.
That will be bad.
And there's a chance, since this guy's talking about a divination
20.
ritual, that's what you needed. That's what you needed. Okay, so his response, he walks over to the Tuareg statue and pulls off a small metal tray that has a large bowl to it. It's almost banana shaped, and looks down and looks at Gal, and he says, "Can you clear this away? Like the couple stools and the chair and everything?"
Yeah, he'll pick everything up.
And he puts that down in the middle, and he looks at Clean. He hasn't answered you yet. He says, "Can you place that in there?"
And Kalian will go, I will, but will you do that for us?
He's kneeling down, putting the tray down, and he looks up and he goes, I will learn Tuareg's feelings of your future. I will learn in what manner he believes you will behave yourself. If those be pleasing to him, if he sees you as a force for good, a force for his will, his word, then yes, I will speak for you on behalf of Tuareg.
That's all I ask. And he puts the gold down on the tray.
And he puts it down, and he looks at it, and he goes, when we're done, that will be gone, if you understand.
Yeah.
And if he does not speak positively of you, I cannot even give you the translation.
I'm not, and he's gonna look at Galadin, he's gonna look at Keyleth, and he's gonna look back and say, I'm not worried about that.
So he motions for you all to kneel in a circle around him. And he kneels down in front of the tray.
I do as I am instructed.
Yeah, I mean, like, far as my character's concerned, this is not something you do for people that are not dwarves. So he's going along with it.
Yep.
Keyleth will follow suit.
So you guys all sit down. He pulls out from deep within like his metalled robes 3 small candles. They're jet black, and he places them down, snaps his fingers and lights them with a flame that forms in his palm, and then pulls the flame up so they all share one flame, and it slowly starts spiraling. As the candles brighten the room becomes darkened by them. All of a sudden, very quickly, it just creeps over you, and all you can see is everyone else's faces in this dark room, lit as in by frontal lighting. Everyone's face just looking at one another. Gilthry looks at you, one from the other, and he begins to whisper. It first begins with dwarven, and it drifts away into something that you can't quite discern. The room spins slightly, the fire puffs, smoke gets into your eyes, into your ears, your nose. You feel warm and clammy, but comforted. And there's a clap. He falls down. Gilfrey clambers down, landing on his back, sliding backwards, and slams into his bed. And you're all standing there. What do you do?
I will go to help him up.
I'm going to run over to him.
Killif?
So he slammed back, but there was a thunderclap in the middle of the room. Is there any lingering magics there, or what's going on with that?
The candles, Killif, if Crayon and Galadin launch over to like help him, you see that the tray in the middle that had the candles around it, the candles have all been warped and broken back and bent, and the gold and platinum is bubbling and sizzling, and it's dissolving the tray.
I'm gonna first look over at that to see if like that's really weird, and I want to see if like it's taking a specific shape as it's dissolving before I run over to that thing.
It appears to be it appears to be getting smaller and smaller, and it's like the molten pile of gold and platinum is consuming the trough.
I'm gonna look over it there because I'm pretty sure that a third person can't help. So I'm gonna be looking down at this now. Like I'll look up at them, see if they need any help. Then I'll look back down at that, and up at them, back down at that.
So Galadin Clean, you can get over to him in his as his body's being thrown back and knocked the chair aside and slammed into the foot of his bed. You can get on either side of him, and he appears to be like, What do you do?
I offer a hand to help him up.
He can't quite see. He grabs your hand and he kind of recoils a minute, but then holds on and stiffly, and he's just shaking slightly.
And I'm assuming you said Galadin helps, reaches out for the other arm?
Yeah. Just kind of to lift him up to his feet, see what's wrong with him. Because something went wrong there, clearly.
Yeah. After a minute, you're able to, hoist him back up, and he has a rather glazed expression. Killif, you've been watching this in the middle. As a sacrificial magic would normally work, the gold disappears, but it sucks in with a few cracking sounds the small metal trough, and the candles, which were twisted and bent out, straighten back up, and they look like normal candles again, and where the sacrificial value, the coinage was, is gone. It's just missing, including the trough.
Interesting. That's really kind of curious. Is this something that, with my knowledge of Arcana, I would have been able to recognize what was going on, or is...
Give me an Arcana roll.
Okay.
And see if you get anything extra.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. So, you know that when you sacrifice regents for a spell, like components, in this case, he cast a divination ritual, and it was 25 gold, regents, some candles, some incense. This spell has taken more. It took the trough that he took off of his shrine. So it also took something that was important to him.
Oh, okay.
And it also took something that was of value to him. And that metal inlaid trough, you don't know much about metalwork. You're not a rock gnome. But it was probably of more value than the coinage that was placed inside it.
Okay.
So the spell required more coin than he thought it would.
Yeah. So yeah, the Giltree is kind of resting in Galadin. Colleen, you kind of get him up. You can sit him down in his chair. You can move that big, heavy book out of the way.
Yeah, that is what we will do. Well, that is what I will attempt to do.
Is he conscious?
Yeah, he's conscious.
Keyleth will say, how often have you done that spell before?
He kind of looks and he goes, only in service, never, only in ritual, never like this. I've never had augury go so unfulfilled. And he looks up and he snaps up and he looks at Killif and Gillian and Galadin. You see his eyes roll back in his head and he shakes his head and has a small seizure and snaps back into position. and starts heaving for air.
Alright, can I make a... Actually, I don't know what I would do.
Keyleth
I was gonna
anti-press confirmed.
Yeah,
I don't
Keyleth
think
is
there's anything I can really do except hold him while he thrashes. Like healing him HP wise is not going to assist here.
Yeah, he might not even have any damage to him aside from hitting the chair.
Shit.
So,
Okay, yeah, Keyleth is just gonna, like, in that silence, Keyleth is gonna break it with a, did you, forget to include one for yourself? Or were you just not expecting it to take that?
he looks and he goes, it's difficult to understand. And he looks at Gallon and he looks at Cleon and he puts his hand on your guys' forearms and he goes, Your views, they're shakes his head and goes, it's more clear. I think it makes more sense. It goes, yeah, and he looks over and he goes, you. A lot of confusion for what is to come for you.
Who is he saying that to?
Killif.
Son of a bitch.
So bitch.
And he puts his hand on Colleen and Gallon and he's like, please sit. Let me collect my thoughts.
Fair enough.
Wait, what do you mean confusion? We're just gonna let him, like, give these vague words and then... Like, I saw the candles break and yeah, that was cool, but...
Sit down, Keyleth. He'll explain.
And he looks up and after a minute or so, Killif, do you keep muttering or do you go back to your book or...
Like, Keyleth will just do this whole thing of motherfucking Biggins trying to tell me what to fucking do again. He'll just do the most accurate version of what Keyleth is like right now is the meme of the dog that's told to wipe its feet. Have you ever seen that one?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's exactly what Keyleth is. He just sits the fuck down. He just kind of glares over at the man who's collecting his thoughts, waiting for him to finish buying his time.
He kind of looks up at him and he looks at Gallon and he goes, the chest by my bed. There's a hammer in there. Can you get it for me?
I'll go retrieve it. Just flip open the chest, grab it.
You open the chest and there's an ornately carved, massive, solid metal warhammer. It's the holy symbol of Torag, but it's full-sized for battle. And you can heave it up. It's like 30 pounds.
Yeah, I'm gonna pick it up and like inspect the hilt while I do so, and just kind of hand it to him. You know.
Yeah, it's a single heavy like dwarven drop forged single warhammer Torag cleric hammer, and he motions for you. He like, wants you to put it on his lap.
Like give it to him.
Yeah,
Just gonna hand it to him. You know.
You like heave it onto his lap, and he takes it and. It glows slightly and emanates a small light. And he says, just a minute. A few minutes. Sit again. And he sits quietly like that for about 20 minutes. Does anyone do anything during that 20 minutes?
No, if he wants that time, Keyleth is gonna try and give him that time. Keyleth is very on edge though, because the guy just threw Keyleth's future at him in the weirdest way possible. So he wants to know what this motherfucker's gonna say, but he also knows that he keeps getting in trouble when he does things the way that he wants to do things. So instead of having to be yelled at by these two, he's just gonna go along with it for the moment.
I'll pray to Shan.
Okay.
Just ask for guidance.
Did you cast any spell for that, or are you just...
It's just a thing I'm just a paladin. Just a thing I'll do.
Yeah, it feels when you begin to silently pray, or do you outwardly pray?
Silently, because we're in the presence of another god.
Yeah, it feels quite warm. It feels very positive. Shaylin and Torag, they're not exactly on good terms, but they're both along the same angle of the pantheon. Your education puts the elven gods a tier above. That's separate from the reality of the world. And when you're here, you're probably a little startled that the magical aura of the area feels so comfortable despite being so foreign when you start praying to Shaylin. And he looks and he goes, okay, and about 20 minutes goes by and he goes and he looks up startlingly and he looks at Killian and he goes, I've contemplated what must be done.
Oh.
I can speak for you, but there will be 3 conditions, one upon each of you.
I mean, we will consider these if you tell us what the fuck just happened there.
He looks at you and he goes, I'm not sure. Torag is... He's angry. He's full of rage. I've never felt him as this. But I'm not sure if it's at you. It can't be. No, he seems... And he looks at you with just a very defeated look, like a man coming to terms with mortality for the first time, or the look on a man who's just being told that he's terminally ill. And he looks and he goes, Torag is uncertain. And he looks up at you, he looks you each one in the eye, one after the other, and says, Torag is uncertain about the future and the part you have to play.
Well, yeah, that seems about right.
If we make him certain, I can speak for you.
Oh.
So what do you ask of each of us?
I wish for you to submit to a geese.
What kind of geese?
And he looks to Clean and he looks to Galadin and he goes, there's moments in the future that he wishes to go a certain way. They're years away, but he wishes you to take an action. And he wishes for you to commit to that action now.
What action?
He looks to Clean and he goes, There's a tavern. It's full of humans. It's full of your father's people. There's a brawl. There's a fight. There's a woman, and you must commit to not help her. And he looks at Galadin and he goes, and for you, there's a crowd. There's a crowd in a grand city as much bigger than the city of Moldoran. It and he takes one hand off the mace and rubs his hand. It hurts to fathom the size of this crowd. You must... There'll come a time when you meet people, the humans, children, no, young men. You must... They'll ask you for help. Young men in a grand city. You must aid them.
He'll kind of mull that over for a second. Very well.
And he looks at Killif and he goes, I don't know what to make of yours. There comes a time when the chartered course leads you to your fate. And his eyes roll back in his head and he goes, when the chartered course leads you to your fate, you must take a step around and step the longer path.
Yeah, okay, so I just need to take a longer way home. I can do that.
And he looks up and he goes, the chartered course leads you to your fate. You must step around and take the longer path. If you would submit to these geese, I will speak to the council on behalf of Toreg. And he's exhausted.
If it would prevent war, I shall do it.
He looks at you and goes, It should prevent war. And he looks at the note and he goes, with that letter, if you speak right, if you handle it correctly, it will.
Okay. I mean, yeah. So I just have to take the longer way on a path, and then I'm good. I can do that.
He goes, I'm not... And he looks and he goes, it hurts to try to remember what I saw before you for yourself. Your path is much less clear than your friends. Your path is dangerous. Dark. And he looks at Galadin and says, possibly unholy.
Ugh.
You're kind of
It's a
inclined.
bit dramatic.
Does Killif go like, oh my god?
Yeah, he'll even say, that's a bit dramatic.
Really, guy? Really? You're going to tell the paladin that I'm unholy? Yeah, that won't bite me in the ass.
Great.
Possibly
like,
unholy.
We're already on, like, thin ice with each other. You're going to throw that in there? That's like saying to him that the paladin might cut down a tree.
Awesome. So,
I will ensure that he does not go that way.
Thanks, Dad.
Awesome. So do you guys want to accept the geese? You totally don't have to. I like the fact that you guys are, but...
No, Kalian hasn't accepted shit yet.
Yeah, are you looking to accept it?
I have
doesn't
to out
know.
of duty, because to the most good, so out of duty I have to do it. I don't really actually have a choice.
There will be a fight.
It's not your
attack.
god.
Yeah.
It's not my god, but the results, if I don't accept it, are that we are likely to fail this particular council. And if we fail this council, the consequences will be dire enough on a large-scale level that I have to accept it.
You'll still tell
There's
us.
totally ways to succeed at the council.
Yeah.
This is the easy road.
You'll still tell us what that says, whether we accept the gaze or not. Correct?
He thinks
You just
he
won't
goes,
speak for us.
He thinks and he goes, yes, I will. You can have the translation. The translation speaks of it orders members of a claw to make actions, and it gives a few directions on what time the watch should be open to take the eggs, and for a location to portal the eggs out to waiting men. You most likely found this on the body of some people, presumably a tiefling, correct?
Yes.
Tiefling, 2 tieflings, and a human.
It makes it was 1 tiefling and 2 humans, but it makes allusions to a claw, to a claw of the Order of the Dragon that was trying to incite war between the elves and the dwarves.
A claw, like a commando unit?
Looks and goes, yes, the Order of the Dragon. They're it goes, they're affiliated into units of four life bonded. He's still exhausted as he sits back, and he goes, yes, this would have been a prime claw, a high-ranking members.
When you would be willing to put this on paper as your translation, so that they don't say that
you can present the paper itself. A few members of the council can read Draconic.
Okay, excellent.
And he goes. He thinks for a moment. He goes. Both Calgor and Boltil I know can speak, and I'm actually quite certain that Ragdon reads Draconic as well. Which you guys players wouldn't remember. That is the clan of Cloudborns, Stonefoot, and Nimblehand. Which, I don't know if you guys are taking notes or anything, but that is a clan that's against Ironhammer, a clan that's mostly for Ironhammer, and a clan that's neutral.
Okay. All right. Keyleth, I am not taking notes because I am trying to channel Keyleth.
That's fine.
I feel like that will just ruin the Keyleth vibe for me if I actually have to.
Yeah, so Keyleth probably, he lists off those, 3 names, and you're like, what? But it's likely that Crayon and Galadin, who were paying attention earlier, and this is really fucking important, would have been like, I'm gonna remember these names.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have them written down.
Yeah. Yeah, so yeah, he says you can present that. It'll go a long way towards supporting your case. Of course, they might call it out as forgery, and others will say the other way, but it'll give credence.
Yes. Sorry, I'm looking at my personality traits and shit because
trying to decide what to do.
Yeah. There's absolutely no way Crayon would not help a girl in a tavern brawl that asks for help. Is the shitty thing. So it would be, but the thing is, it comes to would he go against his character for this? Because there's also the thing that this doesn't mean we're going to fail if we don't do that. It just means that it's not going to be super easy for us.
What Crayon is being offered is, Crayon's actually being offered the simplest choice. It's, do you want an easy solution now? An easier solution now for a harder problem years in the future. Galadin's being asked a more difficult question because it seems obvious. You're probably thinking, the Galadin would probably think the double think. It's here's an easy solution, and all you have to do later is help people who ask. Young men in a metropolis.
But what if they're evil? What if necromancers ask him for help?
Exactly.
Keyleth
is vague as hell. Keyleth is basically, listen to this mumbo jumbo, take this thing, get help. But Keyleth doesn't give a shit about anything, so.
Yeah, it's just yeah, I'll do it or I won't. Yeah, sure. If they go along with it, I'll throw this extra thing that means nothing on there. But if they don't, I'm not going to tie myself down to this.
It
might be weird.
I will look towards Crayon. This is very important. You know that.
I do. Of course I do. If I didn't, I would have told him no already. And he says,
would you see everything you care about burn? Our city is the closest to the dwarves.
Keep in mind what you care about may not be what I care about.
I know you care for that tavern.
I do. But the people I care for in that tavern can be moved easily. And that is a city full of people that could care less if I never come back.
But would they be moved first?
Fine, I'll do it. And at that, he just like turns and goes to walk away.
What's Caleb
Caleb
saying?
will go after him. Like, but I will.
If only because it's not the heroic thing to like let a city burn. He'll find a way to get past the Gaius later.
That's another thing too. Like Gaiuses are something you can get rid of.
Yeah, he'll find a way to pass the Gaius later.
Yeah, and Gaiuses, if you don't listen to a Gaius, they cause psychic damage. Like you wouldn't know it as psychic damage, but you would know enough about Gaiuses. Like everybody knows what a Gaius is. They're stories of legend. If you don't obey a Gaius, it hurts you until you obey, or you just survive through the damage, or die. Like a Gaius can kill you, but some people in tough legends can like accept a Gaius from like a grand devil and just ignore it and live with the pain.
Yeah.
And some people can go on great quests to get rid of them.
Knowing that, then Crayon will definitely he will stick by his plan because he wants to be a hero of legend, and it's totally a heroic story to like take this Gaius to save his city, and then later on fight through the Gaius to protect this girl anyway.
Yep.
So that is something he will do.
Awesome. So Galadin, you accept. What is Kilif saying?
I mean, again, like this means nothing to Keyleth. So if Crayon says that, again, says fine, sure, and then walks off, Crayon will be like, yeah, I'm in, and then he'll run after Crayon to like talk with him about that, because that clearly, even to Keyleth was able to put together like, oh hey, my good friend is not exactly pleased by this situation.
The cleric looks over at Galadin and says, there's a small bag in my wardrobe hanging on the side. There's a few rings in there. Can you get them for me?
He'll nod and go grab the bag.
He takes out a ring and he puts it to you and he's like, please put this on.
Yeah, he'll slide it on, ring finger.
And he gets up and he he brings you over to like there's a small stone bench for like washing and bathing, and he takes you by the hand and puts your hand there, and then holds your hand and he goes, and the ring's on your finger, and he pulls up the hammer and he goes, "May I?"
He'll look at his hand and look at the finger like he's going to crush it.
He's not really giving you any great information here. Your hand is on the table. His hand's on your hand with the ring between his finger and here. And like his hand's there, and if he's going to crush it, he's going to crush his hand too. But that's what he looks like he's going to do.
Do it.
He leans back and he mutters something in Dwarven that's difficult, and a huge silver white light pours out of his hand and goes into his hammer, and this huge 30-pound hammer, he spins it lightly, brings it over, and slams it down on the ring. It looks like it's going to crush through your hand. Give me a con save to not flinch.
I mean, I feel like I auto flinch, but let's roll it. like I don't have a hand anymore.
Yep. Awesome. So you're like, ugh! Killian kill if you see Galadin as he flinches away, but this guy holds your hand firm. He's unbelievably strong. But as the hammer strikes, you feel the sound wave rumble through your hand, but it doesn't do any damage. A bright light goes off, and he comes back, and the ring dissolves away slowly into your finger.
Yeah, he'll inspect the hand, nod.
The guy, he like leans on you for like help because he's so tired, and he looks over at Killif and Clee and he says, "Who's next?"
Fine. And he's just gonna kind of like walk over quietly and put his hand down on the slab.
Awesome. He does the same for you, and then he calls Killif over.
So just gonna slam the hammer down and then the ring pops on?
Yeah, I'm just gonna bring the hammer down.
Can we use a different phrase? I don't know why, but I got this weird anachronistic, gut-wrenching feeling when you said that.
I couldn't stop from grinning, but yes, no, he's just gonna bring the hammer down, he says.
Alright, well, I guess mark it down. Boys, this is the day that the hammer finally falls on Keyleth.
He slams the hammer down, and the ring goes through, and then he gets up and he says, "Tyr, come back out here. Come in here." Tyr comes in and he says, "You can take them home." And he looks and goes, I will be in the council chambers. I'll speak before." And he looks at Tyr and he says, "Inform them that I'll speak before my brothers." And you guys can leave with Tyr.
Yep.
So, Killif,
Hmm?
do you have any spell slots left to make them invisible on the way home?
No, because I didn't realize we'd be doing this. Oh, wait, I think I can do it exactly once. I can move one of you to be invisible.
It's a level 1 spell, right?
It's a level 2 spell.
Level
So
2 spell.
if I blow out all of my spell points, I think I have exactly room for one spell.
Yep.
I can. Would I be able to use Misty Visions to do that dwarven, like, disguise, half-assed disguise, providing I don't touch anything?
If you want to, like, grab, like, a blanket or, like, a cloak or something, you can use Misty Visions to help you.
That works.
So, yeah, you can cast it on Galadin as you guys get out towards the stairwell.
Okay.
So roll me 2d20.
Ready?
And you guys are coming down the last stairwell before the entranceway.
Let's see here. I'll do GM roll 2d20, so that way I can secretly celebrate when I get my 1.
And I'll throw you a stealth roll. He doesn't get the 1.
And on next session, we will start off with a roll on wild magic in the stairwell, going out of the exit of the Grand Temple.
Dope.
He rolled a 1.
Dope.
So the beginning of next session, wild magic. See how if you guys escape.
So, yeah, I have a feeling that this might be perceived as an attack on the dwarven people. Let's hope not.
I'm not going to roll the D100 until the beginning of next session. It's just going to be wild magic. Keep in mind, there's lots of results in wild magic that aren't bad, but there's lots of them that are horrible.
Oh my god. Could you imagine this is where we die?
Wild magic.
Awesome. All right. Well,
All that work, I promise, fireball kills the guy.
that's the session. That is Banished Brethren Prologue 2.5. Of course, this is just a mini campaign into of itself. But that's the fun, and most likely those visas won't show up with anything interesting for weeks upon weeks of weeks. Probably not into the actual campaign, but you know, stealing from Peter to pay Paul is always a best idea when you're trying to survive a campaign. Other than that, good night, everybody.